I was just trying to buy paper towels. Nothing fancy. No shopping spree. Just a quick stop at the store after work. My cart had 4 things: paper towels, oat milk, toothpaste, and a frozen pizza. I walked up to the self-checkout, scanned everything like usual, slid my card through the reader. Declined. I paused, blinked, and tried again. Still declined. The machine beeped louder the second time, like it was yelling at me. I could feel the eyes behind me, a long line forming, people shifting, sighing. My cheeks burned. I whispered to the cashier, "Can I try another card?" She nodded, but her expression said it all. Oh, broke girl alert. But I wasn't broke. That card had never let me down. Not in 10 years. I grabbed my phone, stepped out of line, and rushed to the parking lot. The sun was setting behind the strip mall, casting everything in this weird orange light, like the whole world knew something was off. I opened my banking app, and my stomach dropped. Minus $52,317.74.
What?
I blinked again, refreshed the screen. Same number. It even showed the name of the transaction. Holland Luxury Motors, Inc. A luxury car dealership? My pulse started racing. I hadn't bought a car. I hadn't even test-driven one. And who the heck would use my card for something like this? I pressed the customer service button, heart pounding in my ears. The automated voice guided me to a real agent. I could barely breathe. The woman on the other end, cheerful as ever, said, "Yes, ma'am, I do see a purchase today, just a few hours ago. 3:24 p.m., to be exact. Authorized at the dealership. Do you need help filing a claim?" I said yes, but my voice was barely above a whisper. Because in that moment, I already knew. Only one person had access to that card. One. Tasha. My sister-in-law. 2 weeks ago at a family barbecue, she'd accidentally spilled soda on her purse and asked if she could keep her things in my bag for the day. I didn't think twice. I'd known Tasha for years, the self-proclaimed glam girl of the family. Always dripping in knockoff luxury and attitude. Always charming when she wanted to be. Back then, I thought she was just careless. Now I realized she was calculating. I tried calling her. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Still nothing. I sat there in my car, hands shaking on the steering wheel. My phone buzzed in my lap. A notification from Instagram. I almost didn't open it, but something told me I should. I did. And there she was. Tasha. Smiling so wide it looked painful. Standing in front of a brand new white convertible, the kind of car you only see in music videos. Her nails matched the interior. Her arm wrapped around her fiancé Bryce, another walking red flag I never liked. But the caption? That caption punched me in the gut harder than the $52,000 charge. He deserves the best. Ring money with wings. That was my card. My money. My name probably sitting on the paperwork while she paraded around like she bought it. The worst part? She looked so proud. So satisfied. Like she'd won something. And in that moment, I stopped shaking. I wasn't scared anymore. I was furious. No, focused. Because if Tasha thought I was going to let her get away with this, she didn't know who she just messed with. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling, hands locked across my chest like a corpse, replaying every moment that led to this mess. The family dinners. The inside jokes I was never really part of. The times they called me too serious or too soft while I cleaned up after them. And most of all, Tasha. Tasha had always been loud, flashy, magnetic. The type who walked into a room and made sure everyone noticed. She never said it outright, but I knew what she thought of me. I was the boring one. The safe one. The one who didn't matter enough to be feared. And maybe that was my mistake. I'd spent years being agreeable. I kept peace during fights, stayed quiet during drama, and gave more than I ever got back. Birthdays? I remembered them all. Christmas? I wrapped everyone's gifts, even the ones my husband forgot. Tasha used to joke, "You're practically the maid of honor at every family event." Except I was never honored. I was expected. Expected to help. To pay. To be okay. Even when Tasha left her dog at my place for 3 days, without asking. Even when she borrowed my earrings and posted selfies in them like they were hers. Even when she asked if I could temporarily add her to my Netflix, then somehow upgraded the plan. I swallowed it all. Smiled through it. Told myself it wasn't worth starting drama over small things. But this was no small thing. This was a $52,000 slap in the face. I thought about the way she smiled in that photo, not just proud of the car, but proud of herself. Proud of using me as the stepping stone for her fake fairy tale. The worst part was, no one else would see it that way. If I called out Tasha, I'd be the dramatic one. If I got angry, I'd be the jealous one. And if I said nothing, I'd be the stupid one. Again. So I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my untouched cup of tea, and made a decision. No more sitting quietly. No more playing it cool. This time, I was going to do something. I pulled up the dealership's number and tapped call. Hi, yes. I'm following up on a transaction made under my business card this afternoon. I just need a few details confirmed. I softened my voice. Just enough to sound harmless. Enough for them to trust me. The man on the other end asked for some verification, which I gave. And then he told me everything. The car was originally placed under my name. But later, after some paperwork confusion, it was switched to the name of the buyer's fiancé, Bryce. That name hit me like a brick. Bryce. Tasha's shiny new love interest. The guy who always wore designer belts but never seemed to have a job. The guy who once asked my husband if I had any hot single friends with a trust fund. He wasn't new. He was a pattern. A professional moocher. A guy who didn't stick around unless he had something to gain. And now he had a car. Courtesy of my account. Only he didn't. Not yet. Not really. Because as the salesman rattled off Bryce's name and the VIN number of the car, something inside me clicked. I still had the power. The purchase was under my business credit, which meant I still had legal reach. I hung up the phone and whispered to myself, "You didn't just steal from me, Tasha. You bought yourself a problem." And for once, I wasn't going to clean up her mess. I was going to return the favor. With interest. The next morning, I woke up with a new kind of energy. Not the anxious kind. Not dread, either. It was focus. While the rest of the world was just brewing coffee, I was already making moves. First, I sat down with my husband. I showed him the screenshot of the charge, then the Instagram post of Tasha grinning next to that convertible. He blinked, then frowned. "She said she needed your card for snacks at the barbecue," he mumbled. "Chips. You know, party stuff." I let the silence do the talking. He finally looked up. "Wait, she used it for this?" My voice was calm. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just said, "She used me." And like always, the excuses started rolling in. She probably didn't mean. She might have gotten in over her head. She's just impulsive sometimes. I cut him off. This wasn't impulsive. This was planned. And I had proof. While he sat there stunned, I pulled out my laptop and opened a file I'd just created. Operation Tasha. Inside were screenshots, dealership receipts, a copy of the bank charge, and her Instagram captions. I was done being the invisible one. Done being the good sport. I called the dealership again, this time not pretending to be anyone's assistant. "Hi. I need to confirm the final registration name and method of purchase on a white convertible bought yesterday." The man on the line paused, then read from his screen. "The initial buyer is listed as my name under an LLC credit line. Registration request came in later that afternoon for transfer to a Bryce Kingston. But the payment wasn't fully settled. It's still pending." I smirked. Still pending meant reversible. Still pending meant it wasn't hers yet. Still pending meant I could pull the plug. And that LLC? I asked. Still under my business? Yes, ma'am. You're the primary on file. Bingo. I ended the call and opened a new window. Time to freeze the card. I marked the charge as unauthorized and flagged the account for potential fraud. Then I called my lawyer. Yes, I had one. A good one. And thankfully, very good with business-related asset disputes. Within minutes, he confirmed what I suspected. Because the car was bought under my LLC and no signed consent was given for transfer of ownership, I could not only reverse the charge, I could claim the asset. Legally. Morally, I didn't care anymore. Because what Tasha did wasn't just theft. It was humiliation. A calculated attempt to get ahead by stepping on me. And if she wanted to act like I didn't matter, then she wouldn't mind when I took everything back. My phone buzzed. A new post. Tasha and Bryce again, now seated in the car, sipping iced lattes with sunglasses on. The caption? When your man knows you deserve luxury kiss mark sparkles. I chuckled. The man, the car, the moment, none of it was real. Just like her. And it was all about to disappear. Because she thought she played me. But all she really did was wake me up. I always believed in giving people a chance. Maybe too many chances. But now it wasn't about kindness. It was about reclaiming control. Tasha didn't just cross a line. She dug up the whole road, paved it with arrogance, and drove a $52,000 convertible over it, with my name on the papers. And that was her mistake. She wanted the car, the image, the man. But she forgot the boring sister-in-law. She swiped the card from Own the LLC. The same LLC that paid for the car. I'd started the business years ago as a side hustle. Quietly. Kept it small. But I never closed it. Never changed the name on the financials. Never told anyone. To them, I was just the quiet one at the cookout, refilling the lemonade pitcher. They had no idea I still owned something real, with legal teeth. So I filed the fraud claim with the bank, submitted the dealership documents, and sent a formal notice from my lawyer. We attached the corporate ownership structure and a certified freeze on the LLC account. I even flagged the dealership with a security inquiry. Why did they allow someone who wasn't an owner to transfer title without verifying authorization? That got their attention real quick. By noon, I had the regional sales manager on the phone, apologizing profusely. Miss Langston, he said, voice nervous. We weren't aware the account was under corporate legal protection. We'll contact the registration department and... I stopped him. I've already contacted them. The title transfer didn't go through yet, correct? Correct. Still pending DMV approval. Then let's cancel it. He stammered. You want to cancel the sale? No, I said smoothly. I want her to claim the asset. It was never her purchase to begin with. Silence. Then a quiet. Understood. Meanwhile, Tasha was posting stories like she'd won the lottery. My baby got me this, y'all. Push present before the baby, rolling on the floor laughing, nail Polish medium skin tone kiss mark. Baby? I had no idea she was pregnant. Then again, maybe she wasn't. Maybe she was just throwing out whatever lie got the most likes. The comments were full of fire emojis and queen energy compliments. She really believed it. That she deserved it. That she was untouchable. And Bryce? He was loving the attention too. He posed like he owned the dealership, puffed up like a peacock behind the wheel. I wonder if he even asked where the money came from. I doubt it. Men like that never ask. They just ride. But I had the VIN number. The temporary tags were still under my business. And thanks to the fraud report, the dealership legally had to cooperate. I gave them 24 hours. Return the car. Or I come with a court order. I spent the rest of the day in a state I can only describe as cold fire. Focused. I wasn't ranting. I wasn't raging. I was precise. At 9:18 p.m., the dealership sent confirmation. The title transfer was canceled. The charge was reversed. The car was now officially locked under my company's ownership. And the best part? A repossession request had already been scheduled. Pick up in the morning. All I had to do was wait, because Tasha may have driven off that lot smiling, but tomorrow? She'd wake up to find her shiny dream parked on a tow truck headed back to me. The morning sun was just starting to rise when I got the text. En route. Estimated arrival. 9:30 a.m. I sipped my coffee slowly, the bitterness matching the satisfaction growing in my chest. No more wondering. No more should I have spoken up. Today, action had a time slot. And it was right on schedule. I scrolled through Tasha's feed while I waited. She'd posted more pictures overnight. Her and Bryce, cuddled in the front seat, red cups in hand, music blasting in the background. Late-night drive vibes dashing away, kiss-marked gemstone. We ride together. We shine together fire. I actually laughed. Out loud. Because in just a few minutes, that ride was going to end. For good. Across town, a sleek white convertible sat in the driveway of her apartment complex.
Shiny. Polished.
Smug even. The kind of car that looked like it expected attention. And it got it. But not the kind Tasha wanted. At exactly 9:27, a black tow truck pulled onto the street. The driver was efficient.
Silent.
Professional. He backed in slowly, lined up the winch, and lowered the platform. Tasha's neighbors peeked through blinds. A couple even stepped onto porches, whispering. Tasha didn't notice anything until she heard it. The metal clink of her tires being hooked. The shift of pressure as the car tilted backward. The beep of a slow, steady pull. That's when she came outside, slippers half on, hair in a messy bun, phone still in hand. She screamed, "Hey, what are you doing?" "That's my car." The driver didn't flinch. He simply handed her a clipboard with 3 bold letters stamped in red. Repossession. I wasn't there in person, but someone recorded it. And that video ended up on Facebook by noon. Tasha, pacing in a pink robe, yelling into her phone while the car she stole was rolled off her property. Bryce? Nowhere in sight. Apparently, he left earlier that morning, said he was going to get breakfast. Never came back. I couldn't stop smiling. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about truth. And this was truth on display. Public, undeniable, humiliating truth. Later that afternoon, I got a call from the dealership, just confirming the vehicle has been recovered and is now stored at our secured lot under your LLC. Perfect, I said. Keep it there. You don't want to pick it up? No, I replied, letting the silence sit. I've already got everything I need. That car had never meant anything to me.
But now?
It was a symbol of what I'd let slide for too long, of what they thought they could get away with,
Of who they thought I was.
someone to walk over, someone to ignore, someone who would always stay quiet. But I wasn't that woman anymore. Not after watching Tasha scream at a repo guy while neighbors filmed her tantrum. Not after realizing that Bryce, her prize, bolted the second the keys disappeared. He wasn't there for her.
He was there for the car.
For the clout. For the story. And when the story changed,
So did he.
I closed my phone, leaned back, and looked out the window. Funny how silence can be louder than rage. Because I never raised my voice. I never slammed a door. I just made one phone call and let the truth do the rest. 2 days passed. 2 days of silence from Tasha. No calls. No texts. No posts. Her Instagram, once a non-stop parade of selfies and flashy captions, was suddenly dead. Until she broke the silence with a single story. It was a black screen with white text. Some people are fake. Some people will betray you for $1. But God sees everything. No tags. No names. But I knew who it was aimed at. I laughed.
Me?
The fake one? The person who paid for your fake luxury life, only to take it back? Please. I almost replied. Almost. But instead I waited. Because I knew something she didn't. Bryce was already gone. I'd seen it coming, but I wasn't expecting it to be so pathetic. Apparently, the morning after the car was taken, Bryce packed a duffel bag, said he was going to cool off at his cousin's place, and never came back.
Didn't even say goodbye.
Tasha called my husband 2 days later, sobbing into the phone. He put her on speaker. "I don't know what happened," she cried. "Everything was perfect. And now he's just gone. Gone with the wind. Or maybe with the next woman who could get him a ride." I sat across the table, sipping tea, not saying a word, until my husband asked, "You think he only liked you 'cause of the car?" That set her off. "You think I'm that shallow?" "That he is." I muted the phone and looked at my husband. "You want me to answer?" I asked calmly. He shook his head. Smart man. But I wasn't done. Later that night, I opened my photo folder and found the picture. It was taken last year at a work gala. A woman I barely knew had introduced me to her boyfriend. And there he was.
Bryce.
Same smile. Same swagger. Different name. Back then, I said nothing. This time, I sent the picture straight to the family group chat. No caption. Just the photo of Bryce with another woman on his arm. 1 week before he met Tasha. The group chat exploded. My phone vibrated for an hour straight. Tasha didn't respond. But she didn't have to. The truth had already walked in, uninvited, and made itself comfortable. By the next morning, Tasha's account was locked. Her profile photo gone. Bio wiped clean. She disappeared the same way Bryce had. Without a trace. And me? I felt nothing. No guilt. No regret. Because the real betrayal wasn't just the stolen money or the stolen car. It was how little she thought of me. She believed I was so quiet, so spineless, that I'd just swallow it like I always had. But she forgot something important. Just because someone doesn't scream doesn't mean they don't strike. And sometimes the quietest people leave the loudest echoes. 2 days passed. 2 days of silence from Tasha. No calls. No texts. No posts. Her Instagram, once a non-stop parade of selfies and flashy captions, was suddenly dead. Until she broke the silence with a single story. It was a black screen with white text. Some people are fake. Some people will betray you for $1. But God sees everything. No tags. No names. But I knew who it was aimed at. I laughed.
Me?
The fake one? The person who paid for your fake luxury life, only to take it back?
Please.
I almost replied. Almost. But instead I waited. Because I knew something she didn't. Bryce was already gone. I'd seen it coming. But I wasn't expecting it to be so pathetic. Apparently, the morning after the car was taken, Bryce packed a duffel bag, said he was going to cool off at his cousin's place, and never came back. Didn't even say goodbye. Tasha called my husband 2 days later, sobbing into the phone. He put her on speaker. "I don't know what happened," she cried. "Everything was perfect. And now he's just gone. Gone with the wind. Or maybe with the next woman who could get him a ride." I sat across the table, sipping tea, not saying a word, until my husband asked, "You think he only liked you 'cause of the car?" That set her off. "You think I'm that shallow?" "That he is." I muted the phone and looked at my husband. "You want me to answer?" I asked calmly. He shook his head. Smart man. But I wasn't done. Later that night, I opened my photo folder and found the picture. It was taken last year at a work gala. A woman I barely knew had introduced me to her boyfriend. And there he was.
Bryce.
Same smile. Same swagger. Different name. Back then, I said nothing. This time, I sent the picture straight to the family group chat. No caption. Just the photo of Bryce with another woman on his arm. 1 week before he met Tasha. The group chat exploded. My phone vibrated for an hour straight. Tasha didn't respond. But she didn't have to. The truth had already walked in, uninvited, and made itself comfortable. By the next morning, Tasha's account was locked. Her profile photo gone. Bio wiped clean. She disappeared the same way Bryce had, without a trace. And me? I felt nothing. No guilt. No regret. Because the real betrayal wasn't just the stolen money or the stolen car.
It was how little she thought of me.
She believed I was so quiet, so spineless, that I'd just swallow it like I always had. But she forgot something important. Just because someone doesn't scream doesn't mean they don't strike. And sometimes the quietest people leave the loudest echoes. I knew it was coming. The text arrived on a Saturday morning like a court summons. We need to talk. Family dinner. 7 p.m. Please come. Mom-in-law. Of course, Tasha wouldn't dare face me alone. She needed backup. An audience. A setting where she could twist the narrative back in her favor, cry a little, throw in a dramatic apology, and somehow paint herself as the victim. I almost didn't go. But then I thought, no, let's finish this. I wore black. Not because I was mourning anything, but because I wanted to remind them all who they tried to bury. I walked in at 6:59 p.m. The room went quiet. Tasha was already there, eyes puffy, tissues in hand. She looked like she'd rehearsed the whole performance. The sad pout, the fragile voice, the occasional trembling lip. Everyone else sat awkwardly. Her mother, her brother, my husband, even the cousin who always took Tasha's side because blood is thicker than water. I didn't say a word. I took a seat, folded my hands, and waited. Tasha sniffled and began. I know what I did was wrong, but I was desperate. And Bryce, he told me he'd pay it back. He said we'd figure it out. I just wanted to show him I could provide too. She dabbed her eyes, glancing up to see who was buying it. Most of them looked uncomfortable. A few nodded sympathetically. That's when she turned to me. And I thought you wouldn't mind. You always help out. You're the one who holds this family together. I didn't think you'd go this far. I mean, you had the car taken publicly. She lowered her voice. You embarrassed me.
Ah.
There it was. Not sorry I stole. Not sorry I lied. But sorry I got caught. I sat still for a moment, letting the silence stretch, letting her think maybe I wouldn't speak at all. Then I pulled out a manila envelope and placed it on the table. Receipts, transaction logs, email confirmations, a copy of the fraud report, screenshots of her Instagram posts, and one beautiful letter from my lawyer stating the legal ownership of the car and the reversal of all charges. I slid it across the table. No tears in the world change what's on paper, I said. This wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Tasha looked down, face draining of color. And let me be clear, I added. The only reason you didn't end up with police at your door was because I handled it privately. The room was silent. No one dared interrupt. I turned to her mother. I've always been quiet at your dinners. Always brought dishes. Always cleaned up. Never asked for anything in return. But don't confuse silence with weakness. Her lips parted, but she said nothing. I looked at everyone. I'm not here to forgive. I'm not here to make peace. I'm here to make sure there's no confusion about what happened and who made it happen. And then I stood up.
Just like that.
Tasha opened her mouth again, probably to cry some more, probably to beg, but I raised a hand. I'm done. I left the envelope on the table and walked out without a single goodbye. Outside, the sky was turning a warm gold. The air smelled like cut grass and early summer. And for the first time in years, I felt weightless. Because truth doesn't need applause. It just needs to be heard. And tonight, they all heard it. It sat in a locked lot for weeks. The white convertible. Perfect paint, spotless interior, sunroof still gleaming like it was made of light. But now it was quiet. No music. No lipstick-stained cups. No more performative love stories blasting through the speakers. I could have taken it. It was legally mine now, registered under my LLC, paid for with a reverse charge and an airtight paper trail. I had the keys, the title, but I didn't want it. Not for myself. That car, to me, had become a monument to everything I used to let happen. The stolen credit. The silent swallowing of disrespect. The years of letting others script my worth because I didn't want to cause problems. So I made one last call. Not to the dealership. Not to the family. To a women's shelter. A place I'd quietly supported for years. A safe home for women rebuilding their lives after abuse, manipulation, abandonment. Women who had been gaslit into silence just like I had, until they finally said enough. I told them I had a vehicle. Reliable. Pristine. Registered. They were stunned. Grateful. I told them to give it to a woman who needed a fresh start, but deserved to ride like she mattered. A week later, I watched from a distance as the shelter's director drove it off the lot. No cameras. No crowd. Just a simple goodbye to the thing that started it all. And it felt right, because Tasha had used that car to elevate herself at my expense. I used it to lift someone else. Not out of revenge. Not to look noble. But because that's who I am. And no one, not Tasha, not Bryce, not even my own family, gets to twist that into weakness again. That evening, I walked out to my backyard. The vines I planted last year had finally begun to bloom. Tiny purple flowers climbing the old wooden trellis. I used to wonder if they'd ever grow, if all that quiet watering, weeding, waiting would ever mean anything. But here they were now, unapologetically thriving. I sat on the porch, no glass of wine, no dramatic exit. Just the sound of wind and the slow, steady breath of peace returning. People still ask what happened between me and Tasha. I just smile and say, sometimes the debt gets repaid in silence. And that's enough. Because the best revenge is never needing one again.